Hello, and thank you for joining us today for this presentation on hybrid and work at home models and strategies. Renee, go ahead and kick us off with introductions.
Hi, I am Renee Lyon, and I am an occupational therapist, and I am very happy to be here and discuss some ergonomics with you.
Thank you. And I am Craig Saunders. I am a business relations consultant with the Business Network Division of Michigan Rehabilitation Services. And the main goal of my role is to help Michigan businesses develop solutions to their workforce needs. Next, I want to share some of the objectives of today's presentation. First, we will define what hybrid work and work at home models are. We will then provide an overview of the ergonomic principles behind healthy positioning when working in these areas, as well as discuss the challenges and opportunities available when teleworking. We will provide information you can use to evaluate your home workstation and make healthy changes with equipment and materials you have access to at your home. We will then address the benefits of stretching and movement, as well as provide some related resources. Finally, we will end with some information about related services available from our Business Network Division. Hybrid working has always existed, but its prevalence has increased in recent years. There isn't yet a definitive definition, but at its core, it's an arrangement in which an individual, team, or organization work part of their time at the workforce and part remotely. One example may be an employee who works 2 days in the office and 3 days from their home location. Work from home means an employee is working from their place of residence, from home, rather than working from the office. The firm PricewaterhouseCoopers, or PwC, completed a U.S. remote work survey back in January of 2021. They surveyed about 1,200 U.S. office workers from a range of industries between November and December of 2020. They all identified themselves as employed and currently working remotely, either because they were required to work remotely or were already working in a flexible arrangement with their employer. At the same time, PwC surveyed 133 U.S. executives representing the employer during the same timeline. There was a mix of respondents from both the public and private sector. The primary question they asked regarded the success of shifting to remote work, and the responses are represented on this graph on this slide. As you can see, a majority of the employers and employees rated the remote work shift as a success, with 83% of employers seeing success and employees at 71%. And now I'm going to turn it over to Renee to talk about some worksite ergonomics.
Thank you, Craig. I appreciate the information, and it's always interesting to see what studies show us. But you may feel fine initially when you're working from home and maybe not in a great ergonomic position, but you may feel fine, like I said, initially for a few days or weeks. However, over time, you can develop compensatory postures or misalignments of the spine, develop some contact stress issues, and upper extremity musculoskeletal injuries. Previous injuries that you may have had while under control can flare up. It's important to stay healthy, and your work from home experience does not need to include extra aches and pains. So as you can see from the drawing in the middle of this slide, this is how you should sit to be ergonomically correct. You sit with your thighs parallel to the floor to maintain the lumbar curve or the low curve in your back. Sitting too high flattens that curve and stresses the discs in your back. And you can see that we have 9 points to discuss when it comes to how to sit. Number 1 is the proper height. The height of your work surface should allow you to work without reaching or without bending. Number 2, limit that reaching. Arrange commonly used items such as documents and phones so that they are within easy reach or very close to you. Number 3 is monitor placement. Position your monitor directly in front of you. The top of the monitor screen is at about eye level. And if you use bifocals or transition lenses, lower the monitor to avoid looking up, to avoid looking at the bottom of your lenses. A good rule of thumb is that the monitor should be at about arm's distance or arm's length away. So if you put your arms straight out in front of you, you should be able to just touch the monitor, plus or minus a couple inches is fine. Number 5 is keyboard height. The top of your keyboard should be level with the height of your elbow, so at that same level. Number 6 is keyboard feet. Position the keyboard so that the feet in the back are down so that your wrists remain flat. Do not use the feet that come with the keyboard. Break them off. I don't even know why they're there. Number 7 is wrist rest. Use a wrist rest so your hands and wrists remain relaxed and in a neutral position. Number 8 is eye breaks. Rest your eyes periodically by focusing on an object at a different distance, like something 20 feet away. And finally, number 9, seat height. Adjust the height of your seat so that your feet are resting firmly flat on the floor, or use a footrest if your feet are not properly positioned, not properly supported. All right. And I just spoke of where to place commonly used items. This depicts how you should set up your work area. You should have a primary zone, or the zone closest to you, and that is where you place your frequently used items, the things you use all the time. Next out is what is referred to as the secondary zone. This holds the items that you use occasionally, so less than all the time. And then beyond that is a third zone, and that will hold anything that you use very infrequently. It is also very important to balance the workload. If you're right hand dominant, most items were probably being kept on your right side. Set up things a little bit more balanced, so put some things on your non-dominant side so that your arms and your hands have some tasks that they each do. So balance out the workload. All right, let's discuss some ergonomic issues. Let's start with posture, which is sitting and standing. Posture check when you start work. Sit back in the chair, and are your feet touching the floor? Don't sit or stand too long. Change position, take stretch breaks. Poor ergonomics can only be tolerated for so long. Next is that repetition or those stretch breaks. Prolonged keying, prolonged writing notes, prolonged looking, staring at that screen. Anything for too long is too much. Alternate, so do some keying, do some handwriting. Don't forget to look at the clock across the room. Contact stresses. These are pinch points, and they typically occur with your wrists and the back of your knee. The wrists are on the edge of a table, possibly, The seat of the chair, or if you're sitting in a couch, might be too deep and putting stress on the back of your calves or the back of your knees. This will decrease circulation and eventually possibly cause permanent nerve damage. We definitely do not want that. Finally, we look at the environment, which includes the space you're working in and the lighting. An office space in home should be a dedicated area if at all possible. To avoid distractions, maybe you have an office in your home. Maybe you have a spare bedroom. Maybe the basement or dining room isn't used often. You're not going to be distracted or interrupted. Check to make sure things aren't too dark or too light. Sometimes task lighting needs to be used to illuminate things of reference. Natural light is really always the best thing to use. Next, I'm going to hand it back over to Craig, and he will share some more information with us.
Thank you, Renee. Let's talk more about why posture matters. Sitting hunched over a small laptop or working on your couch for 8 hours plus a day can be bad news for your neck, back, and wrists. When you're looking down at your laptop monitor for too long, it can cause neck strain and pain. Low back pain can be caused by prolonged sitting, especially if you're sitting too long in an unsupported position. Keying with your wrist bent can cause carpal tunnel syndrome, which is the most common nerve compression disorder of the upper extremity. Most importantly, don't ignore any pain and discomfort you may have in whatever office setting you're working in. Poor posture has been linked with many diseases. Let's look at our frontal lobe. It is part of the brain that makes us human. It's responsible for things like certain cognitive skills like motion, problem solving, memory, language, judgment, and our behavior. The neurons of the sympathetic system come from regions of the spinal cord, which are most affected from poor posture while sitting. Many in the medical community are actually linking bad posture to problems such as back compression and contact stress. They also attribute poor posture as being a precursor to arthritis, Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's disease. We want you to help us fight sitting disease. Who knew there was such a thing as sitting disease? To win the fight against sitting disease, take a stand. Standing helps combat sitting disease, a term coined by the scientific community. It's commonly used when referring to metabolic syndrome and the ill effects of an overly sedentary lifestyle. Metabolic syndrome is a group of health concerns leading to increased risks in heart disease and related problems. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Renee.
Thank you, Craig. And yeah, who's ever heard of sitting disease? All right, so I spoke of footrest just a little bit earlier. Let's talk about it a little bit more. Why would you use a footrest? Well, it encourages use of the backrest for your chair. What it does is it pushes you back, it anchors you. It is good as a cheater, sometimes for seat depth issues and sometimes for work surface height issues. And what happens if you don't have a footrest? Well, you can use something else. Maybe use a book or a few books, top of a paper box, a wood block. As a general rule of thumb, when it comes to the seat depth or behind your knees, you should have about 2 to 3 finger widths from the edge of the seat to the back of your knees. And this is to avoid that circulation impingement. And what about surface height with that good cheater for surface height issues? If you must raise the height of the chair if it raises, or use cushions if it does not raise, to get to the right keyboard height, you have to use a footrest to keep your feet from dangling. A footrest is really used to anchor your body or to give you a good base of support, which improves then your sitting posture. You could also maybe try using a shoebox for a footrest at home, or get even more creative and make your own. I don't know about you, but I have often found myself in some of these postures. Are you trying to read print that is too small on a laptop screen that is also small? Are you trying to reach the keyboard? Do your feet not touch the floor? Are they dangling? Are you trying to be relaxed or to lean back and be relaxed because you've had enough time sitting? So enough time sitting, let's talk about switching to maybe a sit-stand option at home. As discussed previously, being in one posture for too long is not good for your physical health. So move a little. Switch between sitting and standing when working. Make the switch every 30 to 40 minutes at the most, or maybe sit for some tasks and stand to complete some other tasks. You can set a digital alarm or a kitchen timer to ring at that 30 or 40-minute interval. You can also use your Outlook to set reminders to stand periodically throughout your day. You could even put a sticky note on your monitor to stand and stretch. How many of us have smartwatches or Fitbits? You can use them to track activities and remind you to move. So just like everything else we know, there's an app for that. There is an app actually called Sit Stand Coach. That might be something you want to check out. It will remind you when to stand. You could also use maybe the kitchen counter at home. It's at the right height, or should be, or a laundry room counter. Healthy standing positions will be discussed next, but maybe alternating activities that you're doing when you're standing. If you have to attend a Teams meeting or a training, maybe stand for that. How about standing when you're talking on the phone, or stand to review documents at a counter or to sort things? So, like I just said, let's look at that healthy standing posture. Number one, the height of your work surface should allow you to work without reaching or bending. The forearm position, and they should be parallel to the floor, and again at an approximate 90-degree angle from your upper arms. Very similar, well, the same as actually when you're seated. Wrists, neck, and head position, they should be in a relaxed, neutral position, not angled up, looking through those bifocals, or down, looking over maybe the top of your glasses. Watch for those multifocal lenses. Monitor distance. Again, the distance between your eyes and the monitor should be about arm's length away, just like when you're seated. And let's talk about it again. What if I wear glasses? To ensure that the neutral neck and head posture are maintained, being in a comfortable position, not looking up, not looking down, individuals who wear corrective lenses, particularly those multifocal lenses, may need to adjust the height of their monitor to a lower position and tilt the monitor at about 30 to 40-degree angle. Remember, standing is better than sitting and should be encouraged whenever possible. While standing, don't lock your knees. Keep that knee joint relaxed. It's important to really wear supportive shoes, and you can even cushion your feet with an anti-fatigue mat or something like that. Fidgeting, changing position is good. Move around, stretch. All right, in 2011, the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, did a 7-week, 34-subject experiment with intervention and control groups conducted by health partners in partnership with Ergotron, and it showed these benefits. 87% of those surveyed felt more energized, 75% felt healthier overall, and 66% felt more productive. Beyond that, 38% felt a reduction in fatigue, 50% felt reduction in pain in their upper back, their neck, and their shoulders. 87% also felt more comfortable. These benefits occurred with a simple 1 hour, just 1 hour, increase in daily non-sitting time. Again, move around. All right, laptops. That tends to be what we use now, but they have challenges. There is really no way to set up a laptop computer with proper ergonomics unless you use peripheral devices. You can, and either the screen is too low or the keyboard is too high. So whenever you can, use a laptop riser to raise up the laptop, and an alternate keyboard or a peripheral device, and a mouse also. And follow the general ergonomic principles of distance from the screen, remember, arm length away, height of the screen, and arm position when keyboarding, those elbows at 90 degrees. Oh my, working from home, what could possibly go wrong? Now that we have reviewed a few of the ergonomic principles, let's take a look at some examples. If it can, it will go wrong. So let's look at some ways that things can go wrong. The dining room office, what could possibly go wrong? The dining room table is not set up to support you in a proper ergonomic position. You are probably sitting on a chair from the dining room table. The seat is likely too low and the table is likely too high. Your shoulders are hunched and your head is pushed forward to see that tiny writing on the laptop screen. You're working from home for how long? What could possibly go wrong? So we just talked about those dining room chairs. I have a supportive task chair in my office, but what can I do when I am at home? Well, that lumbar curve, that low back curve is important, and a straight back chair is not going to encourage that curve. So what can you do? You can try rolling up a towel to give you that lumbar support. Keyboard ideas. We need to protect your arms from any sharp edge of your work surface. Prolonged pressure will cause that numbness and eventual permanent nerve damage. Try putting a stuffed animal on your lap or on the near side, so the closer side of the keyboard. Do not use the keyboard legs that tilt the keyboard up. This causes excessive wrist extension, placing undue stress on the carpal tunnel area, ultimately causing physical problems. We've all heard of carpal tunnel syndrome. Wrists should be in a neutral or flat position, or even bent forward slightly. Monitor risers. I have a very nice monitor riser in my office, and keeping my monitor at just the right height, but I don't have one at home. I can purchase one from an office supply store or, from Amazon. I can also see what I have at home to raise the level of the monitor. Use a stack of books or a shoebox or an Amazon box. Just make sure it's handy or sturdy. Use anything that you have on hand. Make sure there is airflow under the computer. Otherwise, it may overheat and cause significant problems for the laptop. There is a link at the bottom of the slide and how to make a laptop stand from a shoebox, which is also pictured. What about using our kitchen counter as a standing workstation? Using that counter is really a viable option to switch, especially for switching in between sitting and standing while you're working. There may be other areas in your home that make standing while using the computer a viable option also. Maybe a laundry folding table. If you use a bistro height kitchen table, that could work very well for you also. So again, what could go wrong? We are not supposed to bend too much. We shouldn't put our head or our neck in a forward flexion position. We shouldn't just have poor standing posture, and we definitely shouldn't be working on an unstable surface. So when you might bend over when the work surface is too low for you. Your neck is in forward flexion, and that's causing neck pain. Make sure the items on the screen are large enough to see that you're not scooting your head forward, trying to read that tiny writing. Poor standing posture will cause fatigue and back pain. And an unstable surface, well, everything can topple, and we don't want that. Look at the second picture, and we see an ironing board on top of a bed. I'm not thinking that is very a very good surface. Now, these photos show some pretty good options, including how to use the ironing board. The first photo is of a seated workstation. Please note that the box being used as a monitor or laptop riser. The second photo has placed a bed table on a counter height surface, and that's very stable, both the table tray and the counter surface. It will keep you from bending over too much. But where's the keyboard? It's not on that photo, so it's not 100% ideal. The third photo, again, like I said, shows that ironing board as the workstation surface. But this time, it's not on a bed, it's on the floor, so much more stable. An ironing board can be adjusted to different heights to meet the needs of most workers working from home, so it's really not a bad option. Oh, what about that phone? Whenever possible, do not hold your phone between your ear and your shoulder. Similar, well, not quite, but how this is pictured. The lateral flexion or the leaning over of your head is not a functional working position and will cause soreness very quickly. So instead, let's do something else. Let's try using the speaker setting on your phone whenever possible. Just don't forget about confidentiality. Avoid holding your phone to your ear for long periods of time. And when you can, use a microphone headset or earbuds for confidential conversations. All right, again, make your phone work for you. One, we want to keep your phone within easy reach, that area closest to you. Maybe alternate using your hands and your fingers when typing. Use text shortcuts and speak recognition whenever possible. Bring the device higher up instead of looking down and curving your neck and your back. So there is an article, ways to your smartphone can wreck your health. And that might be interesting to look at. One of the top things that will wreck your health are the germs. Anytime you touch something else and then your phone, vice versa, you're picking up germs from everywhere. There is something called text neck syndrome, which is that too much time looking down posture. So that's why you hold your phone up. Awkward phone calls, pinching the phone between your shoulder and your ear so that your hands are free. Not good. Texting and driving, we shouldn't be doing that. Talking and driving, that is also distracting and really shouldn't be done. So what about surfing the web at night? How many of us have heard about blue light and how that can wreck some things in your health? It can mess with your sleep. It's also been linked to diabetes, obesity, and actually heart disease. Walking and talking. Sometimes we really have trouble doing both. I would be one of those people. Are the phones a cancer risk? It has been suggested to limit your cell phone use or use it with your speaker instead of up to your ear. Trigger thumb. That's when your thumbs get stuck in a bent position or pop when you're trying to straighten it. That typing with your thumbs, texting with your thumbs can cause that, as well as aggravate arthritis. Then we have some other things like cubital tunnel syndrome. It's similar to carpal tunnel, just in a little bit different place in our wrists. Cell phones can actually interfere with medical devices like pacemakers or implantable defibrillators. It can cause eye problems. That blue light that I just spoke of can tire your eyes quickly and cause pain. It's even been shown to possibly damage your corneas and harm your vision. The cell phone can be quite distracting, and often for doctors and nurses, if they're on their phone instead of paying attention, that could make some pretty significant errors. Can you hear me now? Putting a phone in plain view when you talk to someone can get in the way of making a strong connection with the person that you're live and in person with. Focus on that other individual sitting right in front of you instead of texting either them or other people. And remember, the decisions you make today are the best you can do with the resources you have. As you understand more or have access to more equipment, these decisions can change. So do what you have with what you have where you are. And that is credited to Theodore Roosevelt. Now I'm going to hand it back over to Craig.
Thank you again, Renee. Let's take a look at how sedentary an average American is. As you can see from this graph done by Work-Right Ergonomics, the average American sits at work for about 7.5 hours a day. They're also sitting an hour and a half watching TV, an hour and a half on their home computer, and maybe an hour during meal times. After you throw in an 8-hour shift of sleeping, hopefully, there's not much left in the day for us to be active. The average American is only active and standing for about 4.5 hours a day. My hope is that after today, you'll be able to incorporate more time standing during your daily routine and do things that help your body to remain healthy. Let's talk more about what you can do to maintain a more healthy lifestyle. Everyone's been sitting today and watching this presentation. So I want everybody to just take a moment, stand up and stretch while I discuss the benefits of stretching. It's time for a position change anyways, so why not do a stretch? Let's start with this great list on the screen. Why stretch? Oh, it helps increase our blood flow, helps reduce tension and fatigue. It's good for preventing injuries, strengthening our bones and our muscles, and for maintaining a range of motion. It's also good for taking a mental emotional break and reducing our risk of depression. It helps with us getting better sleep. And of course, it just plain feels good. You may not consider yourself an athlete, but the demands that you put on your body for the work that you need to accomplish every day does require some athletic ability and approach. So consider yourself a telework athlete. Stretching helps athletes to prepare their bodies for exertion and to prevent injuries. It works the same way for a telework athlete. At the end of today's presentation, we will provide you with a worksheet with 8 different stretches, which can be used daily to help you to be better prepared for each day. The World Health Organization recommends walking and stretching when you can throughout your workday. It also recommends alternating sitting and standing at least 4 minutes per day per working hour. I want to further discuss some of the benefits of physical activity, not just during your workday, but also outside of it. Physical activity leads to reduced short-term feelings of anxiety and reduced risk of depression. It can help improve your digestion. It'll help you expend more calories. It can facilitate better breathing. It leads to reduced injuries on the job, which of course helps improve absenteeism and also enhances your productivity. Movement helps relieve bodily stress, and it helps increase overall energy. It also leads to improved thinking or cognition, which helps you keep thinking, helps you with learning, and can keep your judgment skills sharp. Overall, as I mentioned before, it just generally makes you feel better. Now I'd like to show you a part of a video that one of our staff had put together, sharing some common stretches that can help you in your workplace. The video is approximately 11 minutes long, but we're not going to show the whole thing today. We're just going to show a little bit just to give you a quick picture. But you can access this video as one of our resources on our website for the future.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
In summary, this is a list of small things everyone can do to work smarter and in a healthier way. These tips or suggestions are good for both working virtually and for working in the office. Sit and stand properly with good posture. And make sure you know how to adjust your chair if it does adjust. Make sure to not pound your keys when you're typing, and don't grip your mouse too hard. Be sure to take mini stretch breaks throughout the day, many, and also take mini eye vision breaks, making sure to look elsewhere besides just staring at your screen all day. Be sure you're practicing good body mechanics if you have to reach, lift, carry, push, or pull throughout your day. Also remember to eat healthy and drink plenty of water. You can also use the ergonomic checker that we have listed here from computingcomfort.org to help self-assess your work site periodically. Just please remember that taking care of your health is one of the best things you can do while you are still healthy. Now I want to talk a little bit about us. The Business Network Division is within Michigan Rehabilitation Services, which in turn is part of the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity, or LEO. Our staff cover all areas of the state of Michigan, which is broken down by prosperity regions, as you can see on the map on this slide. We have licensed and nationally certified rehabilitation counselors who primarily work with our client customers. They help them prepare for entering our workforce. We have licensed occupational therapists and occupational safety advisors who work both with our client customers and our business partners to help provide solutions for their on-the-job needs. We also have certified business solutions professionals, which primarily consist of our business relations consultants like myself. We're here to serve as a point of contact throughout the state to both provide solutions to our business partners' workforce needs, as well as to connect our business partners with services throughout the state to help them succeed. Finally, I want to mention our sister agency, the Bureau of Services for Blind Persons, or BSBP. I want to mention that they have vision rehabilitation therapists, which are available to help serve customers with vision needs. When it comes to serving business, we can help in many ways. This slide contains a list of some services related to today's presentation, but there are also numerous other services that we can assist our business partners with when working together. We are here to help provide things such as ergonomic evaluations to ensure persons are working in a safe and healthy manner. We are here to help improve job descriptions, to assist with recruiting and attracting qualified candidates. We can help business to create an inclusive interview process, as well as help provide numerous awareness trainings to help educate managers and employees about the subject of disability. Finally, we can also be here to help business with retaining the staff that they've already trained and hired who may be dealing with issues on the job related to disability. This slide contains the contact information for today's presenters. Please feel free to reach out to us directly if you have any questions. This whole presentation will be available as a PDF on our website for your access. But before we end for today, I'm going to just share some slides containing some resources. This slide contains the stretches that we referenced earlier in today's presentation. These will also be available on our website as a PDF. In this slide, you'll find some resources for further reading regarding hybrid work from resources such as the Harvard Business Review and Forbes. This slide continues those resources with a few more hybrid work articles. The resources on this slide are more specific regarding ergonomics, and it also includes information from resources such as the Mayo Clinic, WebMD, and OSHA. Finally, the slide has websites for our agency and other resources that can provide information on both law and best practices regarding the subject of disability in the workplace. Thank you for visiting us today and enjoy the rest of your day.